beyond the 7 seas, beyond the 7 mountains, beyond the 7 forests, there lived a farmer. And the farmer had 3 sons. And on his land there was a forest, but the forest was wild and dangerous. For in that forest there were trolls. And the farmer said to his eldest son, "You are a strong young man. Take my sharp axe, go into the forest. Do not be afraid, and chop down a tall pine tree." And the eldest son, he took that sharp axe, and he walked until he came to the forest. And he passed through the dark trees that were taller and closer together, shutting out the sunlight. And he stepped over roots, and he bent under branches. And there he came to a tall pine tree covered in moss. And he took his axe, and he swung his axe high, and he chopped at the tree. But as he chopped, he smelt a strange odour. And he heard a crack of a twig and a rustle of leaves. And he looked, and he could see the eyes of the troll were looking upon him. He could see his shaggy coat and his sharp claws, that monster as tall as a tree. And the eldest son, he took fright. He took his axe and he fled. He ran, jumping over roots, dipping under branches, and out of the forest to his father's house. And his father said, "What? You come home with no wood? You are not brave, my eldest son. You are not brave. My second son, you will chop wood." And he gave the axe to the second son, and trembling, the second son went away from the farm and to the edge of the forest, and there he walked, stepping over roots, dipping under branches, until he came to that very same tall pine tree covered in moss. And he took the axe, and afraid, he began to chop. And he chopped at that tree, but as he chopped, he smelt a terrible smell, a stink of the wild. And he heard a crack and a rustle, and he looked, and he took the axe and he chopped again. But now he felt the breath of the troll upon him. And he looked, and there was the troll reaching for him. "You come into my wild to take my wood." And the second son, he took his axe and he fled. And he jumped over roots and he dipped under branches until he came back to the farm. And his father said, "What, no wood? Are you afraid? Oh, my second son, you are not brave. You are not brave." And then up spoke Boots. And Boots was the youngest son. And Boots, his brother, said, "What are you doing, Boots? You're too young. You've never been beyond the door. What do you know of the wild?" And Boots said, "Father and mother, I will go. I will chop wood." And his father looked at him. "Are you sure, Boots?" And Boots said, "I am sure, Father. Mother, make me a white cheese." And the mother, she put milk on the pan, and she stirred and made a soft white cheese. And Boots pulled on his boots. And he took that white cheese and he put it in a bag. And he put the bag inside his shirt. And he set off, carrying his father's sharp axe, and into the forest. He stepped over roots. And he dipped under branches. And he came to where that tall, moss-covered pine tree stood. And he swung up his axe, and chop, and chop, and chop. And the tree that his brothers had begun to cut began to lean and creak and began to fall. and down it came crashing to the ground. And behind him he could smell the stink of the troll. He could taste the breath, the foul breath of that monster. And he looked, and there reaching for him with his fiery red eyes, the troll, who snatched him and said, "Cut my wood, would you? Then I will cut you." "You hurt me," said Boots. "Well, I am stronger than you. See that white stone? Can you squeeze the juice from that white stone?" "What?" said the troll. And the troll bent down and picked up a white stone, and he squeezed as hard as he could, and he squeezed, but did any juice come out? While he was squeezing, Boots had reached inside his bag and brought out the soft white cheese. "See this?" said Boots. "Watch." And he squeezed. "Look how I can squeeze a stone." And out of the stone came juice, white whey dripping to the ground. And the troll said, "You are strong. We will chop down the trees together." Boots took his axe and he began to chop at the trees. And the troll didn't bother to chop. He just caught the tree and he pulled it out by the roots. And another pulling it out by the roots. And the troll went pulling all the trees from their roots out of the forest. And Boots went chopping them down. And when the work was done and it was dark, the troll said, "It is time to eat. Come back to my house." And although Boots did not want to go, he knew he must. For this troll needed to be defeated. That forest his father needed for the farm. And he said to Boots, "Come with me and we will make porridge." And they came to a strange and enormous house there in the heart of the forest. And the troll went inside and he said, "Fetch the water from the well." Boots went out, and outside the troll's house was a huge well. And next to the well, two enormous buckets. And the buckets were made of stone, and they were full to the brim with water. And Boots bent down and tried to lift those buckets, but could he lift them? They were too heavy. Boots called for the troll. "Troll, troll! There's not enough water in these buckets. They're too small. I'll carry in the well." And he bent down and put his arms around the well itself. And the troll said, "No, don't break my well. You're too strong." And the troll lifted up those stone buckets of water and came inside the house. And he poured the water into a great pan and began to stir in oats and make porridge. And soon the porridge was bubbling and boiling. And Boots said, "That's not enough porridge. Not enough for me. I challenge you. I can eat more porridge than you." "What?" said the troll. You little squirt. Look at me. I'm as big as a tree. I will eat more porridge." And he emptied that big pan of porridge into two enormous bowls. And the troll picked up his bowl and began to drink. Agah! 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 But as he was eating down that porridge, quickly Boots, he began to eat his porridge. And he was eating and eating. But inside his shirt, he had a bag. And half of the porridge he poured into the bag. And half of it went down his throat. And then more porridge into the bag inside his shirt, until that bag was bigger and bigger and stretched and fat and full. And the troll said, "Oh, I am full, no more can I eat." And Boots said, "Give me more porridge." "More, more." And Boots, he took that porridge and he poured it down, and the troll was amazed. "How do you do that?" said the troll. "I'm getting quite full," said Boots. "Give me a knife." And the troll gave Boots a sharp knife. And Boots, he took that knife. "When I get too full," said Boots, "this is what I do." And he drove the knife into the bag, and out of the bag spurted the porridge and onto the table. And more porridge. "Don't that hurt?" said the Troll. "Nothing more than a scratch," said Boots. "Well, let me try." And the Troll, he put down that knife, and as strong as that Troll was, he drove it into his belly, and out of his belly burst the porridge and his guts, spilling all over the table. And the Troll looked at his guts there on the table, and he looked and he looked, and he fell down dead. And Boots looked at the poor Troll, and he walked away from the Troll's house and through the forest. And he came back finally to his father's home, and his father and mother were waiting in the darkness outside the door. "Our son has returned, Boots." "The forest is ours, Father. The forest belongs to our family. The Troll is gone. We have beaten the Wild."